Hi, I'm going to talk about not magic. And I'm gonna work with some sweetgrass, a sweetgrass braid here, just to give you a reference or an idea, a visual of what a knot can appear like, what it would look like. Now, this isn't per se what knot magic is, because this is a braid, okay? Knots are created with threads, okay? I myself, I prefer a thicker thread rather than like a needle thin one, but either or works, okay? Now, this video is not to encourage you to practice knot magic. Knot magic is actually a very old form of magic. It is a very thorough form of magic, and it works so well that anybody that comes out and says you can reverse knot magic does not know what they're talking about, okay? Knots are very much connected to the DNA strand. If you know anything about human DNA, there is a double helix that comes together. And it kind of is very similar in a sense to a braid, okay? But I don't want to get this a little bit confusing, and I don't want to turn it into something else. So again, like I said, this video is not to encourage people to do knots and to try knot magic, especially if you have absolutely no experience and this is not in your ancestry. Even for myself, when people come to me and say, okay, I need you to bring me together with this person, or I need you to cut a cord, because my knots are actually cords, okay? And that cord is connected to your DNA strand. So when I say it's so thorough that it's going to affect your family, your career, your finances, your emotions, your mental stability, and your ancestry, those who have passed on and those who will be coming in the future, okay? Cords in particular are done when two people want to be together, okay? When two people want to be together and to form a new family together and get married and have kids and the whole 9 yards. But for some obstacle or for some reason, they're not allowed to come together, or they're having hardships of coming together, such as family doesn't want them, religious obstacles, you know, one partner's religion is different, one partner's culture is different, father doesn't approve, mother doesn't approve, family doesn't approve, they want to be together but they cannot afford it, or having children, something along those lines, okay? And cutting the cord symbolizes letting go of something, okay? But like I said, I don't do this for just anybody. It's not about the money with me. Even if you offered me $1,000, I still would be exceptionally hesitant about it. And I am the messenger. I do the work in terms of the actual cording, okay? But however, as a shaman, I'm here to tell you that this is so serious that it's going to affect future generations to come, okay? And if your ancestors do not approve of you coming together, I need an approval, okay? So if I don't get that approval and I still force it, which that's why I don't really do it, well then what's going to happen is that marriage that's being pushed or forced together, the couple may end up hating each other. They may end up separating, or like in North America, you can separate, like be living in separate homes, but you're still bound together. You're still tied together. You've got kids involved. You've got finances involved, and no matter what you do, you can't get away. One of the partners may become obsessive compulsive, start forming addictions, you know, anything can happen. So this is why I always say, especially if the other partner does not know about this stuff, I mean, if two people are agreeing to this, then it's a lot easier, and I will approve it. And I will connect with your DNA line, and there's an easier chance of it being approved. However, if, let's say, Donald comes to me and says, I'm in love. I need to have this woman. And Denise is already engaged and she's already happy. And Donald doesn't want Denise with her fiance. Okay? And he wants her. Now, I wouldn't get involved. I would definitely say no. But let's just say on this occasion, let's just say I said okay. And I did what he wanted, okay? First of all, it's going to come off of me because I got to pay off of it. But no matter how much I cleanse myself, no matter how much I clean my energetic field, let's just say I did it, okay? Eventually what will happen is because he's playing with, and I would be playing with her fate and his fate, and the future of Denise and her fiance and the kids they're supposed to have and the family life that they're supposed to have, there's going to be severe consequences. Okay, like I said, going back to they can be separated, but they're bound together, you know, in the future. They can separate, they can have kids, but then she may still end up, if it's truly in her fate line, she can still end up with the guy that she was originally supposed to be engaged to. Okay, but Donald would still be bound, tied to her. So what I'm trying to say is not Magick. Courting is so thorough that no matter what happens, they cannot escape each other. Okay, and then they'll reincarnate as brother and sister, and they'll freaking hate each other. Do you know what I mean? So in the ancient days, there was a lot of that cord magic that happened and took place. Okay, I myself, I've been, you know, there was a Muslim guy. He grew in complete obsession with me. He not only, you know, had like ordered a piece of cow meat, like a huge chunk of cow meat in, and literally dug it in my front yard. And then all these beetles and frogs were appearing, and then it caused fights and problems in my family so that he can like have me to himself. That's how much it affects everything, okay? So then my family started hating me for no reason because they were possessed. They were being pushed to hate me because he put this magic in. So then I can be pushed out of the house so he can take me into it, you know, and then, do you get what I mean? And I don't think he knew what he was doing, but I was becoming aware. And not only did he do that, he did some courting, okay? He did some courting, and that affected a lot. And like I said, when you do courting, it's so exceptionally difficult to get out of that. It took me 4 years, okay? And I haven't told everybody what happened and what I had to do. But he immediately, it went against him, okay? And he had cancer on his dick. And let's just stop over there because stuff started happening after, and let's just say nothing went to him in terms of me. So I know that's not necessarily like courting, but it's part of it, okay? Now, why I'm bringing this up is because, like I said, a lot of people ask me about this stuff. Now, in the springtime, and even prior to that, I had somebody come to me that wanted me to cut a cord. Okay, and this cord was an attachment to old people. So this person, female, was engaged. Okay, she was engaged. And if you know about engagements, I mean, especially if you're with somebody for 10 years, 15 years, you have gone through so much together. You have a history together, okay? She was sharing, they didn't have kids, but they were sharing custody to animals, okay? So, and then they had actual physical things that belonged to each other that they had to share because they were like buying a home together and you know what I mean? So there was a lot of stuff that was involved. And because of that, it took a huge chunk out of her life. And on top of that, she started as a form of a rebound or as a form to get over it, right after she split up with him in her work, she started sleeping with a guy who was engaged. Okay, so she kind of did that in order to get over it. But it became a huge big knot, and that's a form of a cord too. When that cord becomes, this is your own DNA, let's just say your own DNA line, becomes this huge big knot, and you're doing this basically to yourself, okay? So after she realized she's only hurting herself, she asked me to cut the cord. So she needed me to get this ball that she created and to start cutting. And when you cut, somebody who is very professional in this, a real true shaman, doesn't just cut. Because in this new age community, they're always like, yeah, let's cut the cords. Let's cut the cords. They don't know what the fuck they're talking about. Because if anybody cuts a cord, you can die. Anybody can get attached to you. Any entity will get attached to you and start sucking on your energy field and start getting into your DNA line. Okay? So what needs to be done, it's like a surgeon. It's like, you know, or it's like, you know, you cut the cord, but it needs to be reattached properly so that it can be formed into a very healthy double helix all over again. So this is not for somebody who is new at this. Okay? Now, again, I prefer to call it cording because knots are just a thread and then you tie a knot. Like you make a wish, or like you have an intention and you tie a knot every few days or whatever. But this is more of like a cording, okay? So I cut the cord and I told her, I'm the messenger. I'm doing this cord cutting because I was step by step. I made her videos. I showed her what to do, but she wasn't able to trust herself that she's going to do it right. Or in a sense, that's going to work properly. But I let her know and I said, sweetheart, you have to understand, I'm the messenger. I'm doing this for you, but you have to do the work. So if I'm cutting a cord and you're still, you know, lingering on to him, you're keeping his pictures, you're repeating the same mistakes, and you want attention from another man. You want that same relationship from another man. You're constantly thinking about external happiness, external attention. You're going on these dating sites as I'm cutting the cords. Then it's gonna affect, like it's gonna be more harmful, because I always say when things like this are taking place, any reading, any healing that's done with me, you need to be concentrating on yourself. Even if you're already engaged or married and you're happy or whatever, you should be concentrating on yourself because it reflects out. Whatever you're doing, it's going to reflect out. And then it brings back in. Okay? So, I warned her, I said, my cord cutting is so thorough that if you're not listening to my steps, like I always say, don't come to me then, you know, because if you're not listening to these steps, it's going to get very harsh. So, and it's going to go somewhere else. And, you know, she started lying to me, and I know she was lying because it's a step, right? It comes in steps, and I knew she was lying, and I knew because when I start tying the cord, when I cut it and then I'm bringing it back together the way it should be according to her fate, there was a friend who has been there for her almost all her life that was there before she was engaged to the guy before, and he was dating somebody else. I saw that it was part of her fate that they're actually supposed to come together. But like I said, I let her know, you know, don't go repeating the same thing with your ex with this guy, you know. Don't go seeking attention with this guy. Don't use him. Be yourself, because he wouldn't even be sticking around as a friend or, you know, as somebody from part of your friends and stuff, had you, you know, showed him your tits or like having a one night with him or whatever. You know, he's been around you for these many years. Don't go messing it up, you know. And I get a phone call from her and she's like, what the fuck just happened? I just spent $400. The wires in my car had like been cut off. I'm like, did you sleep with him? And she's like, and I'm like, you slept with him, didn't you? And she's like, what does this have to do with anything? I'm like, I did tell you, if that goes, something's gonna affect. So that went straight to her car. The electrical stuff started cutting off, and this is only the first steps, okay? Obviously, it's better if it goes to her car than it goes to her or her family. Obviously, it's a physical object. However, your car is you driving your life purpose, your destiny, your path. And if that cord in your car goes off when you make a mistake, because humans, we're going to make mistakes. People are going to warn us. People are going to tell us not what to do, and humans will not listen. Okay, that's just human nature. They will not listen. They can hopefully learn from these things, but if something is meant to be, no matter what, it will not be removed. It can't be taken away from you, because eventually, like I said, you can get married, you can split up, you can have kids. But if you're supposed to be with that one person, nothing's going to stop it from happening. Okay? Obviously, depending on where you live in the planet, you can get killed for that, but on other areas. But let's just say here, right? So that's just small things, little things. And the good thing is, though, she started correcting her behaviors because she realized, and I told her, I'm like, listen, this is not a joke. You know, I was hesitant at first. This is not a joke, because when I cut a cord, that's it. And it's going to come in other areas. You know what I mean? And this is not even just me cord cutting or doing cord magic. My magic is so thorough. My work is so thorough that, you know what I mean? That is why people that try, when I say no to people, whether it's friends, whether it's men, whether it's my family, if I say no to you and you still keep forcing, pushing, and then you're getting hit in all areas of your life, that is why, okay? That is why. There's other areas, such as other entities protecting me, ancestors protecting me, totems, animals, energy fields, elements protecting me, but it's all connected. It's all connected. Do you have anything else that I want to say that's connected with cord magic? Look what my brother brought me from Armenia. It's the same symbol on my head. It's the Armenian eternity wheel. The Armenian eternity sign. Brought it for me. It's cute, eh? So decided to light some sweetgrass. Get some good vibes in here. Get yourself some sweetgrass, guys. It smells amazing. So, just be aware of what you guys are doing, okay? Because people say there are certain people that say you can reverse. The only way to reverse cord or not magic is to pay off like 3 to 10 years to 15 years of the mistakes you've done with it. You're going to have to pay for it. It's going to bite you in the bum. So that's why I always say, before you actually do magic, before you actually do something, be aware of what you're doing, okay? I made vows. I myself make vows. And I met a lady who's like a devotee of like Doreen Virtue, and apparently Doreen Virtue says, which I'm not a fan of Doreen Virtue, to be honest with you. There's like 1 or 2 decks of hers that that I work with sometimes, but I'm not really a big fan of her, because a lot of the things that she says isn't really realistic in terms of this work. I mean, I've also mentioned about crystal children, and that's just something that she talks about a lot because nobody else talks about her. And that makes sense to me because I myself, I'm a crystal child, and that's the closest thing that I can really reference myself as, other than a shaman. But that's only because I reference myself that way, because crystal children are far more advanced in every area of life than any other people that have inhabited it. You know what I mean? If that makes sense. They're ancient souls that come back. But yeah, so she was saying to me, the lady was saying to me, you can, Dorian Virtue talks about, it's very easy to sever vows. Well, is it? No, it's not. Because once you make a promise to yourself, once you make a promise to the world, everything else is connected. Okay? So when you make a promise to yourself, you choose a certain direction, and that direction leads to people, places, animals, objects, humans, entities, spirits, elements, this, that, and you're affecting every single one. So if you automatically just to a vow or a cord and that's it, there's going to be some severe consequences. So that is why I say, if you're ever planning on having a ceremony done with me, like temple work, you know, healing session, you need me to bring two people together, because like I said, once the cording has been done and rearranged to be how it's supposed to be, because people that have gone through genocide, my family has gone through genocide, and part of our DNA breaking, when a woman is raped and they're going through genocide, okay, that natural DNA, double helix, tears and rips. And dark entities get in. Dark entities meaning lost souls, broken down souls, pain, suffering. And a lot of times your natural, what you're supposed to do gets harder. Okay? And then the children and the children and the children, you know, they start lacking finances. They can't fall in love, or they can't do what they're supposed to do. And there's just, they're hitting a wall, they're hitting a wall, they're hitting a wall. So as somebody who has genocide in my ancestry, as somebody who has had to have these obstacles, I've had to rearrange my own DNA. And my family has all felt it. All of them. All over the world. And now they know it was me. But, you know. But let's just cut this short, because it's already 23 minutes. And I can go on and on and on. So if you're going to have a session done with me, just know that I'm going to tell you the steps. I'm going to tell you what to say, what to do. And I don't usually tell people what not to do, because when you tell somebody what not to do, it becomes more attractive to do. There's something about a human psychological thing. When you tell somebody what not to do, they will do that. So I usually tell them what to do. However, if I do see something and you're hiding it from me, then I'm going to tell you what not to do, in a sense that I know what you're doing, but I don't come out and I say, what are you doing? What the fuck is wrong? Unless it's severe, okay? And I'm telling you and telling you and telling you, and you're not waking up, okay? So my work is thorough. Like I said, if you're interested in my work, I highly suggest you, tune into me for a bit, observe me for a bit, and then proceed, okay? Because this is very serious work. I'm a very old, traditional shaman, in a sense that my DNA line is very, very, very magical and strong. My magic is very magical and strong, and I've never met anybody per se who can do what I do. And I'm not just saying this to make a sale, because I've lowered my fucking prices, and I don't have a problem making a sale. Okay, that's not my thing. That's not the issue. That's not the situation at all. So, all right. Okay, guys, thanks for watching, and I love ya.